Great. Andy, a video talking about Scott Roberts and Associates, you and I, what we do, why we do it. So, what are we? What's Scott Roberts and Associates anyway?
My name is Andrew Scott. This is Robert Buchholz. We're the owners of Scott Roberts and Associates. We're a consumer reporting agency. That's a fancy term for a company that does background screening for applicants both for employment and for tenant.
We love to do them both, and we're doing them quite well.
As a matter of fact, we're in the process of becoming accredited with the NAPBS. That's the National Association of Professional Background Screeners. And basically, we take information supplied by both tenants and employers, and we try to find out information as to their criminal history, if any, credit, if they have any, verification of employment, so on and so forth. So what makes us any different than other consumer reporting agencies?
Well, I think the key here is we all access public information. So the information that's out there is there and available for everybody. But why are we different? Why are we better than some of our major competitors? One, Scott Roberts is a very boutique-like agency. Therefore, we customize our services directly for the client needs. And number two, we're always available. Andy, always available. So when we shut the door here at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening Eastern Time, phones roll over to you or to me. We take the calls after hours, over the weekend, etc. So superior customer service is a byword here at Scott Roberts and Associates, and that's what makes us better. I think our reports are better. I think our reporting time is better. I think our price is extremely competitive. But when you take all of those things and you add unsurpassed customer service, now you have a quality company that can do your work for you.
I agree, and Robert touched on one of three of the major values that we hold in Scott Roberts. Obviously customer service. We are customer service driven. We're also FCRA compliant. That means Fair Credit Reporting Act compliant. All of our staff members are FCRA certified through the National Association of Professional Background Screeners. And then the third value that drives us is that we are ethically driven, meaning that we comply with the law, we comply with the standards that are prevalent within the industry, and we make sure that we help mitigate you from possible litigation because something may not have been done within the confines of the law. So those three values are what drives us.
So why is the law a critical factor? I know it's something that it's there, everybody must adhere to the law, stay within the guidelines of the law, but why does it matter so much to you and I? Why are we so ethically driven?
We're ethically driven for a variety of reasons. Number one, our clients expect us to be ethically driven. And number two, we want to stay in business and we want to adhere to the federal law in addition to the state laws that are changing on a, almost seems like a weekly basis sometimes.
Sure. But your background is?
In law enforcement, 30 years of experience, and yours?
Same. So 30 years New York State Police, Albany County Sheriff's Department, 30 years municipal law enforcement, retiring as the chief of police. Those are some of the reasons why the law is important to us and why it really should be important to you, because while we're not attorneys, we're not a law firm. Sounds like Scott Roberts and Associates, a great name, but we're not lawyers. We're retired law enforcement executives driven to provide you with the best that we can possibly do.
And we don't provide legal advice. We can't. We're not experts and we're not attorneys. We always suggest that our clients and potential clients go to their respective counsel should they have any questions regarding this video or any other video that we may present in the future. But the last thing I want to mention, Rob, is, why is it important to have a consumer reporting agency like Scott Roberts as a business partner, so to speak, when you're doing your background screening?
Well, and that's a good question, because certainly we know that there's a lot of information out there. You can go on the internet and all of a sudden you're inundated with look up this guy or look up that girl and find out all you'll need to know. Well, unfortunately, these services don't comply with the law. Two, their results are extremely questionable and not specific to a particular applicant. In today's world, there's a lot of people named Smith and Jones and Bradley and Gonzalez and Perez and Lord knows everything else. So you need to go to a professional organization that adheres to professional standards in order to get the correct information. And you really need to understand the differences between, as you said, Fair Credit Reporting Act, state statute, requirements of the Consumer Financial Protection Board, requirements of the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. These are the things that are important to employers, and the same thing applies to landlords, property management companies, HOAs, as they kind of go through the vetting process for possible renters. That's the reasons why they need to do a professional work.
Sure. In addition, there's mitigation of potential liability by using a third party, and using Scott Roberts in particular, because you push off a little bit of the responsibility of getting that report accurate to us. And that's what we thrive on. We thrive on accuracy. And so if there's a missed record, and unfortunately, if that ever occurred, and it rarely does, there is some shielding of liability on the part of our client because you've hired Scott Roberts and Associates to do your background screening. If you don't have a third party, then you can find yourself getting into trouble because you're misinterpreting records or adding records that shouldn't be there. Let the professionals help you out. Let the professionals help mitigate your exposure to perhaps a bad employment decision based on an errant consumer report or background report.
So lastly, just before closing, Scott Roberts, you guys are we new on the block? How long have we been around?
Well, longer sometimes than I think. It's close to 10 years now that Scott Roberts and Associates has been gainfully employed, so to speak. We have 13 staff members, all of which are very highly trained, very committed, and so are we.
So what's a good reference for us? We happen to be on the federal GSA, Federal General Services Administration schedule, where we provide background screening services directly for the U.S. Department of Energy, and we also do 2 nuclear facilities, by the way, and we have a host of commercial clients, both on the employment side of the house and on the tenant screening side of the house. We're a good company to call.
We're a very good company to call, and just to finish up on that line of thinking, we have a particular company that does staffing for federal law enforcement agencies, and they do an audit on us every year.
Every year.
And last year, our audit revealed that 99.8% of all the applicants that were funneled through Scott Roberts for background checks received secret or top secret clearance when they were placed within that federal law enforcement agency. So I think that's a pretty good stamp of approval of our competencies and our capabilities.
Look forward to more videos on different subjects regarding background screening, regarding security issues, etc. We look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, Andy.
Robert, my pleasure.